The fellow who was supposed to give me advice on holding the microphone is walking away, so I can do okay. If you have as much difficulty understanding me as I've had understanding every speaker so far, my heart goes out to you. And if we're not successful, we, meaning the United Kingdom and the United States, if we don't succeed in stopping the treason, we're all going to speak French or German, and the English accents will no longer matter. So I think we have a collective mandate to do some damage, and that's why I'm here today. I want to thank the people that are hosting this, the UK column, especially Mike Robinson, Brian Garish, and Sue Freeman, who is not associated with the UK column, but she introduced us. And you might think that we have nothing in common, but we do. We don't have a common purpose, but we have a common enemy. And our common enemy is whoever it is, and they can be identified by so many different names, and they hide behind all of these names. But the group that I work with, which is a global group of private individuals with interesting backgrounds, and I am probably the least of the players, and therefore I'm willing to be the face of our group, which makes me a cutout. And I don't know in your language if you know what cutout means in America, but it means I'm expendable. And if I were to die laughing right now at Tony Blair, David Cameron, the people that are running Germany, the short guy in France, or Obama from Kenya, if I were to die laughing at what vapid leaders they are, 10,000 people would jump up and take my place and do a much better job. But before I get started with my notes, which I'm not going to refer to, I want to do something very unusual that nobody in this room knows is coming because I just thought it up. I want to honor Holly Grigg by giving her 4 lines of a very, very popular song from 1976 written by Jimmy Webb, sung by Glenn Campbell, and it's simply this, and this is the bridge, this is not one of the stanzas. If you're still within the sound of my voice, I just want you to know that I still love you so, if you're still within the sound of my voice. And Holly, until your voice is quiet, or my voice is quiet, you are the most popular face in the United States of America, and we will not rest until my native land, Scotland, comes to the table and gets justice for a young lady that has been... The reason I can't be silenced is because I'm a complete nobody, and Holly, this complete nobody is totally dedicated to do one thing scripturally for you, and this is the only thing I'll say about church because it offends some people that don't go to church, but this is written in Matthew 25:40. When you have done it to the least of these brothers or sisters of mine, you've done it to me. And folks, I didn't write those words. But I'll tell you who did if you're interested after this. But we don't need a church lesson, although our leaders do. Or I should say misleaders, because my notes, which I've thrown away, how's the sound, Mike, okay? I've thrown my notes away because I don't like notes. I don't disrespect those who use notes or outlines, but that's not my forte. I react to things such as your faces, including Alex, Garen's. I don't know many of you, and none of you know me. There's a lady right there who has a smile that's out of this world. I saw her on the street when I went to get coffee because our host wouldn't buy me any coffee, so I'll never come back here again, unless you buy me coffee. But I know what you folks want. You want to hear something unusual, something uplifting, something positive, and something that you may not have heard before. And the only reason you haven't heard it before is because Alex Garens from Edge TV hasn't put the tape up. But 2 nights ago, I was in his studio, and I was extremely impressed by him, his staff, and his willingness to allow the truth to be recorded. In my country, I couldn't do what I'm doing right here. And there's probably some things that your English speakers cannot do that I can get away with because you think I don't know your cultural differences, and that's true, I don't, so I'll invoke that latitude in case I misspeak. But if I misspeak, I'm simply misspeaking for myself, Field McConnell, not for the Global Intelligence Network, of which some think I'm the director, which I am not. I'm the expendable face, and when the guillotine gets greased up, I go first. And you know what? That's a privilege, because there's many people in this room right now, including Holly, some people by virtue of physical challenges, some people by virtue of age, and I rode down here in a bus with a couple of ladies that I would say are older than 29, and I see some gentlemen around here that were at least of Korean War vintage, and they think they no longer have the fight left in their body, even though they have the fight left in their heart. Well, I'm here to tell you that effectively the U.S. Marines have landed, and if you think back a couple hundred years ago, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, well, they're over in Tripoli again, and it's not a good idea. And I want to publicly chastise your leadership, and I believe the guy's name is Cameron, is it not? Because if I'm correct and he's your leader, which reminds me, I do not want to be taken to your leader, so don't take me there. But I would love for him to show up here and match wits with me for an hour. I believe, from what I've heard, that your supposed leader, David Cameron, who none of you know anything about, I believe he told my supposed leader, Barack Hussein Obama, or is it Barry Soetoro? We don't know in America. The U.S. intelligence services have been dumbed down by a lady named Jamie Gorelick, by a former FBI director, soon to be former, named Robert Swan Mueller III, and I know that they no longer have the tenacity to find out who I am, so just give me a split second here to let the FBI and the U.S. government know who I am. Field McConnell, 583-09-9001, Plum City, Wisconsin. Come anytime, we're ready. The reason and this is not about me, and if anyone thinks it is about me, hopefully by the time they give me the hook, you'll realize I'm speaking for those who think they have no advocate, those who think they've lost their country, those they think no one cares about them, those that think they're faces in a crowd that blend in. None of you do. I'm looking at a lady with silver hair and a green jacket. Smile for me. She did. You know, we have a way of communicating. Should I do test? I've thought of something else I think is cuter, but I'm not allowed to be cute until after the microphone's taken away. I don't know where I was, so let me take off in a different direction. The reason I have the freedom... Too close. How's this? That's better. How's this? Test. Now the problem is moving my head and my hand at the same time. Because like a lot of Yanks, I cannot chew gum and walk at the same time. The only problem is these guys over here give me directions. One's saying hold it up here and the other's saying... You guys sort it out and I'll make it. Okay? Okay, if anybody wants, I'll defer to Alex. Alex, you're my sound man. Okay? There? Okay. What I was saying is there's no me involved here, there's no ego, there's no self. The reason I gave my name is to make it really easy for the U.S. law enforcement intelligence agencies. And by the way, that's exactly who I write for. And let's stop there. I've taken 4 oaths of office in the United States of America, and I haven't abdicated or vacated any one of those 4. One of them was in 1967 with the U.S. Navy. I was a student in Annapolis. One of them was the Marine Corps in 1971, and I'll just warn people like David Cameron and Barack Obama, Marines never leave their friends on the battlefield, and they never lose. I take a little bit of pride in being a United States Marine. I have to acknowledge there's 2 other Marine Corps that are, if you still have one, the Royal Marines and the Korean Marines are even more feared. And you people in England need to do something about your leadership as it pertains to dismantling your defense. Because if you dismantle your defense, just to show you how I have no notes and I can turn on a dime, what we're going to do now is we're going to describe what happens to England and the United States